multiple, right?
Well, they're in a different league, so it was like a weird thing where it was like they're affiliated with different NHL teams. So they had to like get a waiver in order to still own teams in different leagues, even though they're not affiliated with the same NHL team. It was a whole rigmarole for that.
It's also cool that the Solar Bears are an affiliate for the Lightning.
Yeah.
Which, a lot of times you don't get that, especially in baseball. You'll have like, hey, the Braves are an affiliate for, the Blue Jays, or the minor league team is an affiliate for this, and you're like, oh, I don't like that team.
San Jose, California is an affiliate for the Yankees. I'm like, what the hell?
I don't like any of that. I always thought that sucked. I always thought that your minor league teams around there should always connect to your major league team. That way, as a fan, you can follow them on their journey.
So the NBA does that with the G League, which is their development league, and they made it to where that team has to be within a certain proximity, because the theory is they could be in practice, and then because of injury,
call them up.
Oh, hey, you got to play tonight, or you got to be on the roster.
Again,
tonight.
This is how soccer does it. I mean, we always just do everything different, right?
Yeah.
We're just like, do it different.
And they started in Lakeland, but now they moved to Osceola, so they're playing at out in Kissimmee.
Huh.
Interesting. Oh, we had a bunch of people. Hey, guys, what's up, everybody?
Hi.
Good afternoon.
All right, somebody said, I smell a pervert. Yep, he's here. He's here.
Smell it through Twitch.
Are those unisex boots, Sam?
You know what? Get the fuck out of our studio. You don't talk to her that way.
My hairdresser gave them to me.
Yeah, you don't talk to her that way.
Melissa?
No, I don't use her.
Oh.
Where do you get what kind of boots are those?
Those are dope-ass boots.
Those are German techno boots.
You would think I would notice Sam wearing...
She's worn those multiple times.
Bright green
This is the second time you've worn them? Second time.
Platform boots, and you're way taller.
You notice nothing. I can honestly tell you she's worn those twice, and they were given to her by her hairdresser, including a bunch of other boots that she was gifted from her hairdresser that are awesome. And these are, I asked you if you were waterproof. You said you don't know, right?
Yeah, I don't even know what brand these are. I've tried looking everywhere.
Okay.
There's
You
no
know what they
brand.
look
I think
like?
they were just like costume boots. Yeah.
I was going to say, if you can find them in a men's size 13, I will gladly buy them from
I
you.
can't override that. You can't do that. What the hell are you doing?
I want a pair of those boots.
Let me take you out and dress you like a real man.
That ain't gonna work.
Shopping, damn.
Let me take you out and dress you like a dog the bounty hunter.
Please give me a budget.
You need some tan lugs.
Yeah.
No.
We're gonna get you some tan. You know what?
Boot cut.
We're gonna get you
Wranglers.
some Timberlands, old school Timberlands, and we're gonna put the little chain on the side.
Yeah.
But I do like lugs better, or Skechers.
Let's do the old wife swap, but with clothing. So you guys
What was that show?
Well, you guys dress me like in the polo shirt and the khakis and the really boring stuff I would never wear.
Well, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get you a goddamn American haircut instead of that European shit.
So we'll do that, and then in return, give me a budget,
That's what my dad would
and
say.
I'll take Tom to get clothes that I would wear.
What not to
He
wear.
ain't gonna do
you
that,
guys
man.
remember that?
Yes,
what not to wear?
This is the stuff you hate. You know what I hated too? You're right about this.
So the thing with what not to wear is, though, they went to that person's closet and basically just like
I like that
shit
show.
all
I think
over
that's
it.
what he wants to do.
Yeah, I like that show.
I'm
Did you
talking-
see that?
I'm talking about actually going to a store and like getting.
They would do that
they
too.
do that too at the end.
Well,
At the end,
end.
they take them and then they get them some stuff. And then there's always that one lady that doesn't feel comfortable in the stuff she looks the best in.
Yeah.
And she falls back into wearing the old moo-moo. And I like that.
Yeah.
She's like, you know what? You
Well,
wasted
that's
your
her
time.
personality.
Yeah, you wasted
Yeah.
your time. I'm a moo-moo for life.
The thing is,
Okay.
Oh, hold on, Sam. Let me
Sam's
put
doing
it
some-
up again. I'll put
They
it
wanted to see the boots.
There you go. Put it on the main cam.
She's doing a weird OnlyFans audition here.
if
Perv. That's a pervert talking.
So besides from obvious like business attire and just looking respectable in public, right? Like, then anything beyond that is like fashion wise is for your own
Oh, of course.
joy.
That's
right?
narcissism.
Yeah, and then if you don't care about that stuff, then it would be hard.
It'd be a waste of money.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to force yourself to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
especially if you don't notice it, which is one of the problems that, again, I mean, this does tie into sort of what we were talking about earlier. It's like, if it doesn't bring you joy and it's in the fashion world, I don't think you're going to be able to force that.
Because what are you doing it for?
Yeah.
Maybe for other people to see like that guy.
You can understand that they appreciate it and then maybe do it. But
No, but you want people to notice you and be like, I like what that person is doing. It's the
What if we
primary thing.
notice you and we're like, I hate what he's doing?
Yeah, some people, it's the
Okay.
KISS method, where you know what I mean, where
Yeah,
you
keep
do
it
it
simple,
just to get.
stupid.
Oh no, I meant like Gene Simmons.
Well,
Oh,
but it's kind of like women's shoes. Like they wear particular shoes for
Ladies.
other women instead
Yeah,
of then
it's
I'll
like
do
a
it for men.
Tip of the hat.
You know,
Well, most men don't pay attention or don't care.
yeah. So it's like, you think, oh, they're dressed up to attract some sort of men, and well, that's like the stereotype, or I guess.
Sure.
But then it's like, that has nothing to do with men.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
no, it has
Like,
everything to do with them signaling to other women
Yeah,
that
yeah.
this is something that they like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Like a man would be like, look at that ass in those pajama pants,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. Like,
I do like that ass.
Oh,
in
yeah.
Pajama
pants. Yeah,
pants.
yeah.
Oh,
I like
yeah,
a pajama
like,
pants.
But
or whatever.
conversely, guys will wear like the expensive watch or like the fancy
For guys.
outfit. But well, exactly
to show everybody the rich.
well, exactly. See, that's different. It's not like, oh, look at this style. It's more like, look how much money I have.
Not
Yeah.
always. A lot of watch guys will wear a watch because they're like, oh, this is a very unique watch.
if they're
Yeah.
into style or a watch
But-
guy.
Right.
yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't
I
have to be
bought-
super expensive.
And that's true,
yeah.
but the average person will look at that and be like, that person has money.
I
As
found
a-
the watch for you, by the way. They finally make one that's perfect for you, which is a real big name, awesome watch dealer where you're not going to break the bank, but it's still got the reputable brand and it's tough and it looks good. And it's Omega by Swatch. Omega, some of the best watches in the world. Swatch, some of the more like entry level cheap watches. They make an Omega by Swatch where they've compartnered and it's a beautiful watch. Rodney Bowe has one. A bunch of our BDM listeners have this watch. Beautiful watch, and it's only about $230. So it's right there in the middle where it's like you're getting what you pay for. You're not paying for Rolex. You're not paying for Omega. You're paying for Omega Swatch. So it looks the same. Awesome. Doesn't break the bank.
But people aren't going to go, look at that guy, Swatch.
No, they won't know. It's an Omega.
But I'm also
Collector's
like
item.
a rapper in which I want to show everybody how rich I am.
Well, then you just leave the normal bracelet on it. Yeah.
And there's,
Yeah.
you know, so that I get the most expensive diamond-crusted watch, so everybody's like, that guy's rich.
You
Which
need
I
to get
assume is why all, like, rappers...
Most of them don't own that jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but, yeah, they're renting it so that but to put off
It's
the...
funny you mentioned
know-
this. You know who came out of retirement? Fake Watch Buster that me and Ross
yeah?
used to
Oh,
love.
Yeah.
He just showed who he is for the first time this month. He showed a real picture of himself. And man, rappers hate him because he would go through their jewelry collections and basically say, this is wrong, fake, fake, fake.
And then you got Kanye, who's going the opposite, that sells like just plain sweatsuits, and you get them in a garbage bag. You know, you can go the other way.
Yeah,
And
but,
he's might be what, the richest rapper, maybe.
Doesn't he have a new album out? Or
but the
Yeah,
sweat,
rumored
and
to
he's,
be?
but don't they cost
he sampled a
500?
Backstreet Boys song
Yeah.
without asking for permission.
Yep.
It's like, come on, man. He like shit all over Nicki Minaj because she wouldn't like redo a verse for him or something. He's going
Yeah.
more off
I'm
the
a bit
rocker.
over him.
Well,
Yeah.
going back to the rich diamonds and stuff, wasn't it Ocho Cinco on like Hard Knocks that basically went to a store,
Yeah.
got fake diamonds, and his whole thing was,
You know who else does that? Bad Baby.
well, yeah, and basically his thing is, no one's ever going to think that these are fake
Yeah,
because
because
of
I'm
my
rich,
prestige
yeah.
and my
and
money
if you ever
stuff.
get robbed, i.e.
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian,
Yeah.
it's fake, so it
Very
doesn't matter. You're not
smart.
losing that much money.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
weird as he is, and I've worked with him before, he's surprisingly smart when
Everybody
it comes to
says
little
he's a
things
pretty
like
nice
that.
guy, too.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to say he's a pathological liar, but he's weird. He'll just make statements about himself
That's a
that you.
pathological liar.
But they're weird though.
Oh, he's crazy,
They'll-
kitty.
Yeah, he's
there'll
crazy.
there'll be things like
I know people like that.
yeah, they'll be like, hey, I don't know how to read.
Like weird shit
Like,
to lie about. Yeah.
weird
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
why would you say that? Or it's like, I've never had a drink in my life, even though I know I've seen him have a
Right.
drink before.
That's
Right.
absolutely pathological
Yes.
liar. I had
Yeah.
I had a friend that had that, and he would just randomly say things. It's almost like a form of chirping, which I have, but he would just say things. It's your word salad.
For what
Yeah.
reason? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's
There's
no
no reason.
But
reason.
it's nothing to benefit him, and it's
Yeah.
not like he's saying things that it's like makes me.
Yeah, you can't make sense of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
then
odd.
that's an illness.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why are you doing that? I can't help myself.
Should we record this
Yeah.
pervert?
Yeah.
All right. Would you like to start?
And this is coming back 3 and 4?
Yes,
or 1,
3 and
2?
4,
Okay.
yep.
3 and 4. Okay, bring us back, please. Here we go. 3.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time. Kenny Samsel's here. How you doing, Kenny?
Kenny
doing
Samsel
well, guys.
on the couch, not a pervert. How you doing, man?
I love that you add on to the song every time I come in here.
Well, you always sing your voicemails when you're like, Dan and Sam.
Little tag in there. It's like, hey guys, Zach from Ohio. Like, you know what I mean?
I like it.
You got the little.
It's like
little
brand
jingle.
awareness. What's been going on with you, man? What's going on in Kennyland?
Yeah, I wrapped up some of my travels. I did another corporate gig, which this was an aspect I found weird. So. There's a corporate gig, and the person in charge is huge in the LGBT community. So much so, unfortunately, he gets a lot of hate mail and death threats and stuff. So when he travels around with a giant bodyguard that basically follows him around, for security. But one of the things I noticed was he goes into the bathroom with him. Because if the guy needs to go to the bathroom, you don't want someone to like go in there and shank him or jump him or whatever.
That is when I would. That's where I would kill people in the bathroom. In fact, I do that a lot in the video game Hitman.
Yeah.
When you go in the bathroom, you wait till the target goes to the bathroom, you stab him on the toilet.
Yeah,
but like
that's the thing in movies.
Yeah,
the bodyguard goes into the bathroom to keep watch to make sure no one goes in there. But like, if dude's going number 2, that bodyguard,
you stand with your back to him.
Yeah.
But like,
don't look at it.
Part of the job,
you hear it though.
And you smell it, and because the job
Earplugs.
Duty.
I'd make you put on earplugs. I'll put your headphones in.
Well, he's a pro. He just, blocks
it out.
Yeah, he blocks it out.
You'd be perfect for this. You'd be perfect for this.
Yeah. I could
you
block out anything.
No,
he would be the worst because he does not pay attention to anything. So somebody would shake
Oh,
somebody.
oh my God, he's been dead on the toilet for hours.
Exactly.
But I would just do the math and be like, all right, I know you're getting into some death threats, but they're all on the internet. They're not real.
Yeah,
like,
not real. I already did the numbers.
Like,
Oh,
no,
God.
I'm not gonna have to
figured
save.
it out.
I'm never gonna have to save your life. You are wasting the money paying. I'm not gonna tell him this.
You might
but
as
in
well
my
give
mind,
me all the money up front, and I won't even show up.
Easiest job you've ever had.
I don't have to be that vigilant around or surrounded because no one's waiting in the bushes to attack you. You're just paying for me for your own peace of mind. This is all just a facade.
It's a flex.
Yeah, like no one's waiting in the bathroom to kill you. I'm going in here listening to you diarrhea for no reason, and you're just paying me, and then I'm essentially an easy job. Like
do you
bodyguard,
go in the same stall?
But like security and bodyguard.
No, well, he didn't go into the stall, but then I'm thinking
I would go a handicap stall and make him stand by the sink.
So let's say you're the client, for example. It doesn't have to be whatever. It's just going.
I'm the client. You're my bodyguard.
Yeah, and you're going number 1, but then someone else goes in, and then they got the business diarrhea, and they're the ones that are stinking the bathroom up. Like, you didn't sign up for that. You're dealing with just your client. You didn't sign up for a random stranger coming in, stinking up the joint.
Okay, I see
part
what
of
you're
the job.
saying.
Part
Yeah,
of
it
the
is part of
job.
the job.
You got to deal with the public.
Here's why bodyguards don't work. It's because in the history of our presidency, I don't think there's been one, and there may be.
No, there have been actually a lot.
Yeah, I'm like, there's been quite a few. Don't say what you're about to say.
I was going to say.
I'm saying it.
Reagan, JFK. Are we talking about like
literally?
They got JFK.
Or
no, but
the security that have been shot instead of
they
the
got
president.
Reagan.
Yeah,
I remember that as a kid.
Literally, the Brady bill
lived,
is named after the dude that took a bullet for Reagan.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Did he jump in front of the bullet, and would
know.
Reagan be killed if it wasn't for him?
I don't think it was like movie style where he like dove
I don't know the
with his
details.
arms
I want
stretched
the
out.
movie.
Yeah, I do want the movies too. But it does look better.
It's one of those where they always do the
Or
thing.
slowly fall into the
Or
guy
did
with
he
the gun.
pull out a gun and then he's wrestling with the Secret Service, and then the Secret Service got shot, and they already pushed Reagan.
Anytime that happens, not just with the president but with someone else, they always end up tackling the dude.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that way the back is to the whatever. Because again, to try to like Superman dive in front of a bullet just doesn't make any sense. So you always try to do the thing where you tackle.
I always feel like I'd miss
your
it
client.
too. Like I jump and I missed it.
Oh, they are so slow. The bullet got him anyway.
And you do the thing where you basically shove him down on the ground and everyone like dog piles over him, and then they all look around.
It'd be terrible if you kill the president. Like dog pile, everybody on top of it, and you got him. You know,
Oh, God,
we smushed him.
Do that to Biden, you like shatter his legs.
Yeah,
'cause
you
he's
could.
80
He's
years
fragile.
old.
He's fragile.
Sorry, Kenny. Back to your story.
I was just curious. It's like in terms of having a bodyguard. Like, do you think he signed up for the fact that he's got to stand in the bathroom every once in a while?
Yeah, he knows about all that stuff.
Is the money worth it?
I think
to
a
do
lot
that?
of
Well, you don't
right?
do anything except for staying. Like he's not. If you were constantly fighting off attackers, then it's like you would. But what 90? I mean, more 100% of your time with all these bodyguards,
I think it depends on the celebrity too. 'Cause if
probably
you're like
does.
Taylor Swift's bodyguard, you're doing
You're
some work.
working hard.
Oh, yeah.
Our buddy Steve from Maximum Security, and we could probably talk to him about this, but there were like, it depended on the client. There were some that were like he was working his ass off, and then there were some that like you could tell he was just being paid a lot and nothing was
stand there.
going
Yeah.
on, you know?
I think it's a bit different when you're talking about like a business person that gets death threats versus like a Taylor
Sure,
Swift,
yeah.
because you get the crazy fans like Selena's obsessive fan that ended up killing her.
Well, that's
She
a
could've
little
used the
Well,
different.
she worked with her.
Yeah, like she had access because like she was the,
Yeah, that's
the
true.
head of the
Manager,
club
yeah.
and everything. That was a whole different. That was like a
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
You know, like
But
sometimes.
there have
like,
been plenty of celebrities that have
Yeah.
had stalkers break into their houses.
Yeah, it'd be like Tony Palmiotti coming to here and shooting me one day,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I full on
Yeah,
expected.
Just lock the door. Just lock the door. You're
And then
fine.
there was
they're like,
uh,
"Hey,
You might
Tom!"
fall over on the Tom and Dan cruise.
Oh, that's right. Oh, where'd it go?
well, there was also, wasn't it George Harrison? Basically, like the security guard fell asleep and someone like broke into George Harrison's house.
Yeah,
And,
I
like,
don't remember that.
Okay, it was something along those lines. Again, I don't want to factually incorrect it like EJ or anything.
Yeah, yeah. What else you been
Take
doing,
that,
man?
EJ.
Well,
So that same conference that I was at, it was a corporate thing. They're giving away an award that was named after someone who had passed away, who had worked with the organization. And it was one of those stereotypical, and we've seen the videos where, you know, at like at a funeral, and not boring white person funeral, but any like, you know, ethnicity funeral, they always like lose their S, basically when the person dies. They're draping themselves over the casket, you know,
pervert
they're like
racist,
whatever.
Pervert racist.
Well, with
talking
this,
about Asians.
yeah.
I don't know who you're speaking.
Crazy angry at the funeral.
with this, we were giving away the award, and it was a surprise that the award was named after the person who passed away. So we ended up putting her photo like on the screen, and then when the host saw it, broke down in tears, and literally in that stereotypical
wow.
like draping over the podium and like. Like during the presentation and everything.
I've always
'cause
had
it was a
strong
surprise
feelings
her.
for people that do that.
Good or bad?
And it has nothing to do. It's individual to every person that does that. But I've always thought that when you do that, you are making it about you, and it makes me so uncomfortable.
Well, so
I've been at funerals where
Yeah.
someone is on the casket, like literally holding it and scream crying, and I've always thought to myself, "Oh my God, someone take me away! Like someone kill my brain right now and push
Yeah.
me into the sky."
Because there's been, I understand if you just if it just happened,
Yes.
and then you're like, oh, like you don't know what to
Yes.
do. But
Yes.
you've had some time. There's been some arrangements
Yeah.
made. Like there's not that,
Yeah.
you had a good week and a half.
Holding it
right?
a little bit until you make it out to the car,
Yeah.
and then maybe
And maybe it's you know, if it's an open casket, which is weird to begin
It is
with.
very
you
weird.
know, but
well, in
then
this
maybe, I
instance,
don't
we
know.
just showed her photo on the back and made it like, you know, the Mary Smith Memorial Award or something, and that's what triggered the speaker. So afterwards, they're doing the things where they're taking photos with all the winners on stage, and I thought it'd be a good idea as a nice gesture to pop the photo back
Oh
up
my
so
God.
they take a photo in front of
Kenny,
it.
what are you doing?
I didn't realize I got basically yelled at for doing that and be like, why would you put her up there?
Oh,
and then
the
they
lady
started
yelled at you?
Yeah, she started crying again, and
Oh my
it's like, this
God.
breaks my heart. Why would you do that?
Yeah, why would you do that?
Well, I'm sorry. They named the award after her, and I thought, hey, let's
yeah,
take
but
a
you saw the
photo. and-
reaction the first time. Why would you do it again?
Just
You
got-
know?
I thought she got it out of her system.
No,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't work like
Purged
that.
it.
I'm like you. I'm like, this can't happen twice. And then
Run it again.
it's almost worth her yelling at you just to see it happen twice. And you're like, I knew she was
Did you
crazy.
put it up for a second, a third time, just a
No,
yank it back
no.
down.
After I got yelled at, the main client was, you know, I mean, they weren't mad at me, but it was just the lady taking the photo and doing the
How do they
presentation.
keep something like that a secret, right? Like, why would you do that, right?
Listen, I think they probably knew that she was going to act like that, so they're just like, don't tell her.
Let's talk about open casket for a second because it is really weird, right? And I've only been to one. It
I've
was a
been-
grandfather, and it was weird.
I feel like older
Is that- that's
funerals,
gone
like
away,
when you
right?
were, I think it's gone away.
Yeah, I think it's gone
Yeah.
away.
No, it's
Because
still
I went to
happens.
two,
Oh,
and it
okay.
was both my great grandparents. Other than that, I haven't been
I-
to an open casket.
I think in the Latin community, it's still pretty big.
Yeah, no, I've been to one years ago with Crystal. It was a coworker,
Yeah.
like child,
Oh, man.
and the child is like a teen, like a older teen,
Holy
like
smokes.
18, 19 or something. And then it was, you know, weird to me. It was just
Yeah.
because I'm like, oof, this is hard to be around.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you know, to them especially because it's our loved one.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like
The kid thing, yeah.
And then I've
Yeah.
seen it other times before with the open casket. And it's like I find myself not looking at the person because I'm just like, Well, it's not them,
Yeah.
so it's a weird thing to look at because I'm just looking at a dead body.
It's pretty morbid,
But
yeah.
then you get the people that like go
And it's real.
They
Like,
lean in and they hug them
Oh,
and
yeah.
they kiss them, even though they're.
A lot of older people, you would see them like grab the hand. I'm trying to be like respectful. They grab the hand, they like pat it, they give it a kiss, they kiss their forehead, stuff like that. That's not. I'm not. It's
The
not for
weird
me.
thing
not
is,
for me.
then they escort the main family when they close the lid. Because they don't want like that finality, you know what I mean, of doing that.
Oh,
so,
right,
like
right.
So
insulting.
yeah,
Yeah,
I've done
yeah.
it before where it's like, any family members who would like to, they go into a separate room, then they officially close the lid, and then
Yes.
that's it. Which
All
I
right,
always
what do you got here? You got you got the big dog. If you're being if you're being buried,
Oh.
is that they take you, they cremate you, and they put you in one of those awesome like marble mausoleums, right? Isn't that the big dog way to go out?
Viking funeral.
Then you got in the ground. That's pretty good,
I think setting you out at sea and then
right?
launching a
You got
flaming
little
arrow.
urn, like what it like.
You got spread your ashes.
You got
Oh,
spread
spread
your
ashes.
ashes. You got in the ground. Then you got like mausoleum where you go in and there's a bunch of them.
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you've got the one where it's just you in a massive building.
Yeah.
That's a waste, but that's a big one.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the big dog one. We see these at Greenwood Cemetery with the former sexton Don Price. He would take us through there, and you'd see these guys that would have it be like a giant marble building for like one man's ashes. That's pretty cool.
And I don't know if it's just me because I'm a weirdo, is and I understand the psychology behind like having a gravesite and like, because I went and saw my grandma's gravesite not this past time, but like, a couple months ago when I went to Miami.
Yeah.
And then it's like my mom's like, oh, you should visit Meemaw when you're down there, and so we went there, dropped off some flowers.
Nice.
And then, but it's one of these things where I wanted my sons to see, like,
It's a good thing to do. Yeah.
to understand the world. Like, this is how culture, some people do it. They get buried and then we visit and stuff. And then they were like understanding
And you
that.
take it as
So
you need it. Yeah.
But for myself, I don't think I'm the type of person that would ever like go by myself and go to a gravesite and then feel like
That's not
I'm
me.
visiting or that it's. But I understand it's a personal thing.
Yes.
So everybody's
Yeah.
different. So
Sure.
but I don't get anything out of it.
How do you want to
personally.
be buried or go?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I figured he wouldn't
Whatever.
care. Yeah.
You going
Crystal or
cremation?
my sons want.
Oh, whatever they want.
Yeah,
okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
My
kinda that
my
way, too.
wishes are dead.
Yeah, I
When
don't
you go
care.
to a
They died
cemetery,
with me.
I agree with that, though.
My computer turned
Yeah,
off, and I'll never know. And eventually the world will blow up, and no one will ever
I
know.
absolutely agree with that. I never think about that. I don't know if people think about that. I mean, I guess they do because you see people talk
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it all the time. Like, I don't know. I don't
well, a
even
lot
care.
of people put it in their living wills as to what exactly and specifically
No.
they want to happen. When you
Oh,
go
yeah.
to
I feel
a
like if you
cemetery,
put that in your living will, you're willing yourself to die.
No.
You got to pretend like you just don't
No,
think
they're
about
just
it.
planning for it.
No, I
but
understand.
Yeah.
So in your instance, when you visited like your grandma and you saw her headstone, did you find yourself like out of the side of your eye, like comparing her headstone compared to the other ones? You just be like, ooh, that one's fancy. Ooh,
I
that one's
totally
not as good.
do that. I judge.
You're like, oh, that's a poorer one right
I
there.
judge your headstone. You know what I normally judge it for? Whether or not what you put on it is classy or not.
You don't want a rhyming limerick or anything?
You know what? I probably am
Here
a
lies
hypocrite.
Dan.
No, it's probably all over the place. It's probably case by case. But sometimes when I see like the hologram photo or when I see like the kitschy fun phrase, I get a little mad. I'm like, it should be serious. That's just my personal opinion.
Sometimes I think I'd live a different life if I actually believed people or my dead loved ones or someone else was watching me at all times, like judging
Better
my
or
behavior.
worse?
Like
Better or
God.
worse?
Or God, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
some supernatural, because people live their lives thinking like, oh,
Yeah.
my-
Your grandma's watching you masturbate.
my dead relatives are looking at what I'm doing with my life, and
Yeah.
it motivates them to do something, or they're like appreciative that you visited their gravesite, or that that your dead dad is proud of you for what you have accomplished. And then I just never think like
But
it
you have to
doesn't-
create those things in your brain.
Yeah, but you have to believe them
Yeah.
for it to be worth anything, right?
I don't know if you have to fully believe it. You just kind of maybe you can hack it and just get the feeling of because sometimes I do that, right? Like I absolutely don't believe that my father is staring down from heaven and watching me do this show right now.
Like Mufasa.
But there is a part of me that likes to believe that there's an
Sure.
energy like that out there. So to completely it's almost like to completely deny myself that pleasure of it possibly being there is negative. So even though I know it's not real, I just kind of go,
Hey,
Yeah. If it was real, this would be
Correct.
Yeah. That's
one of the
fine.
weird things I think is like you'll go visit, like let's say, you have your grandpa dies before your grandma, and they bought the plot next to her, and
Yeah.
it's
I
just
have that
like,
now.
That is awkward.
And
Oh,
it's
my
like-
grandma did that. Yeah.
and then it's like reserved. This is where you're gonna
Yeah.
be. Get ready.
I have both my parents' plots. I was just talking about this. I have both of them, and they're not in the ground. And I guess I should sell those plots or put them in the ground.
or save it for you and Andrea when the
I
time
don't
comes.
care.
Did
I don't
they-
want to be buried in Virginia. I have no reason to be in Virginia. They'd be like, why is this guy here?
So in Louisville, Kentucky, they have a giant cemetery there, and it's known because they have the memorial for Muhammad Ali. He's buried there,
Ah.
and so they have like it's a giant cool thing. And then they also have Colonel Sanders. Like KFC's Colonel Sanders is buried in Louisville, and they have like a giant like Coliseum, you know.
So the best of the best.
Yeah.
Colonel Sanders,
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Who's got the best one? Let's make
And-
this a little more fun.
and
Who's
it's-
got the best celebrity shrine?
Well, it's weird. He's got like a Greek arch kind of column, and then there's a bust of his head like sitting on a
Whoa.
podium there, and it doesn't say anything fun. It doesn't say like finger looking good or anything. It just like
No.
has his name and his date.
Yeah,
but,
you don't want to be silly.
but the fact
right?
that it's like a bust of his head surrounded by these Greek columns.
That's what I'm talking about. That's a flex.
Yeah. It's because all those Greek columns and that bust of that game, I mean, that thing was $500,000.
Yeah, it could be $1 million.
Also, am I right that Colonel Sanders doesn't look anything like the real Colonel Sanders?
No, he did.
No, he
He
did.
looked exactly like the
He-
guy with the
Is
little.
he okay?
and
He
then
didn't
They
TV?
just did that for black people, like Aunt Jemima. They changed what they all look like.
Oh, okay.
But the white people, they kept him pretty close.
Yeah, because he did
They kept
TV
him pretty
appearances
close.
like in the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
Yeah, he was actually in commercials.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he wore
yes,
the
you're right.
suit
yeah,
and
yeah.
everything, and but I don't know his story. I don't know if he was a good guy.
Yeah,
I know
well,
he
good
was
in
a-
relation to
the
now.
time,
Is it,
sure.
yeah,
So he
right,
was a
right.
shrewd businessman in the sense that he hated corporations and how they would take over and change things. So when KFC ended up exploding, basically the board of directors is like, hey, in order to save money, we need to change our recipe. And Colonel Sanders is like, no, you're not going to change the recipe. This is like the 11 herbs and spices. And they're like, hey, we're the board of directors. Like, we're going to overrule you and we're going to change it in order to save money. So Colonel Sanders is like, okay, well, I have an appearance on Johnny Carson tonight. I'm going to go on live television and say no one eat at KFC anymore. So you make your move. And he basically like played a game of, no pun intended, a game of chicken against his board of directors.
Yeah.
If I was a head of board of director, I would have called his bluff. Like, no way you're tanking your legacy, you
Go ahead,
Sanders.
do it.
But see, that's the thing. He
Your
really
move, Sanders.
actually see you do that. The type of personality from interviews, he really didn't care. He's like, I have my money.
Yeah.
I don't care if it goes down. Like, I'm just going to go ahead. If this business tanks, I'm fine because who gives a crap?
Ghost of Manu Bull basically says that from that point on, Colonel Sanders would talk to anybody that would listen and tell them that KFC was horrible. It was the worst, and he wouldn't feed it to his dog.
So that was a threat.
Yeah, that was like
and
his
they
thing.
didn't change it.
Yeah, I guess he
Yeah,
just stuck
basically
with that.
to keep everything as the way he wanted it, his threat was, I'm the face of the company. I can ruin it. I don't care what the board of directors say. I can ruin you.
It'd be interesting, and there's no way to find out. But if
Is that true, Sam? What you put in the chat room?
There's a whole article about him on Ranker that talks about his life before he started KFC. And like he used to work at gas stations. He volunteered as a local midwife and delivered babies.
This guy was
This guy was awesome.
Yeah, and then tell the story of the one you put in there about the wearing his underwear.
It says one night Harlan Sanders awoke in the early hours of the morning to gunfire outside of his Kentucky gas station. When the future colonel went outside to see what was happening, he discovered two rival bootleggers shooting at one another. Wearing nothing but his underwear and his trademark shotgun, Sanders kicked open his door and yelled, "Line up, both of you sons of bitches, and throw down your guns." They complied without question, and Sanders accompanied the sheriff when he took them to jail, still pantsless.
Oh.
That was a
not true.
badass.
That didn't happen.
Yeah,
There's no way that happened.
that's
We
a tall
created
tale.
that to sell chicken, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a chicken tail.
It may something like
No.
that happen,
No way.
but it didn't happen that way.
Line
right?
up, you sons of bitches, and drop your guns, and he's in his panties. He's a big fat
only
colonel.
way I
And
could
these
see
guys
that-
were shooting at each other. They were shoot the old man in
It
his
seemed
underwear.
like shooting back in the day was more harmless, where you just like bang, bang,
Yeah.
People be like, oh, he's just mad. He just wants to kill you.
Or it's like, make him dance, and they're shooting at the feet.
Come on, man, stop shooting in my feet.
We've talked about that before. There was who pulled out a gun? It was some old school boxer. Like he was at the
Joe Louis?
Was it Joe Louis? He pulled out a gun and fired it into the casino.
That was in a casino.
Yeah, did it have blanks?
It had blanks in it, but still, this is not something you do. You don't go into a Walmart with a gun full of blanks and just start shooting it in the sky.
Yeah. And he was doing it because he was mad.
Wasn't it Joe Louis, Sam? Look up.
I don't know.
Look up Joe Louis gun with blanks. I think it was Joe Louis.
But you're right. Back in the day, we were a lot more loose.
We were cool.
We just have guns, you're shooting them, and you're like, all right, calm down.
The story I remember, it may not have been Joe Louis, but the boxer, he was there, and it was Muhammad Ali, and they had rival entourages fighting. And then whoever the other boxer was pulls out a gun and shoots it, and then everybody starts going ape-s, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, they're blanks. And then everybody's like, it's cool.
and
it's like, and it's like, that's the 70s. No.
Security didn't tackle him.
No, he's fine.
It was just like, oh, okay. Just effing around.
It was a prank. This guy's Bam Margera.
Sonny Liston?
Okay, it was Sonny Liston. Sonny
Okay.
Liston. So what does it say? He
fired a gun at Muhammad Ali in Vegas, but it was
not Joe Louis then. Sonny Liston.
Yeah.
Okay, Sonny Liston.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it on the show before, but
so great.
Yeah, and it didn't really. It went on like 60s, 70s. People were still gun
right around. I feel like right around 78 to 82 was your last time.
Then it's like, all right, put them away.
Because there was a time I will never know the end of this origin story, but there is a story that my dad used to tell me about my mom and dad leaving a bar, and there was a guy that was drunk who mistook my father for somebody that had been hitting on his wife or ex-wife at the time. So my dad was exiting with mom, and the guy came out with dad and confronted my dad, and my dad's like, oh, I think you got the wrong guy. And the guy held him at gunpoint, pulled a gun on my dad.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, and then he said he and mom talked to the guy, calmed him down, and he put the gun down. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not a story that I will be telling Maisie. That's not a story. I feel like maybe if anybody were, maybe you, just from like Craigslist or something, I don't know. But you're not. It's not something you normally do. I know Kenny's not going to do it. Absolutely, Sam's not going to have a story.
Yeah, rarely we're faced with being at gunpoint.
At gunpoint, leaving a bar.
You know who ruined it was Plaxico Burress. When he just had it tucked in his sweatpants and it went off in a nightclub.
No,
because it fell out of the band of his sweatpants. And
then
it fired.
He tried to grab it. He grabbed the trigger, shot himself in the leg.
Because he's like, oh.
Yeah, then you got to be embarrassed. You're like, oh god, it's like that video of like the gun instructor. And there's a couple videos.
It's so uncomfortable. He's like, when it fires in the classroom.
Yeah. Then he shoots himself in the leg, and he tries to play it off, but he shot himself.
Yeah. It's real bad.
And then, but you're embarrassed.
He does
more.
Yeah.
And it's like when you stub your toe, and you're just like, oh, I'll just walk it off, and it's like you have a bullet wound.
There's another video of like this guy was like a white nerdy gun instructor, and he's at the shooting range, and he's like instructing other like classmates how to
it's a huge gun, right?
Operate this
like a Desert Eagle or a 357.
It's like a 357 long barrel Magnum or whatever. And then he's messing around, it goes off while you
doesn't it like crack him in the head? Like it's like the recoil of it flies back and like whacks him in the head, and he's like, well, I wouldn't. You're not gonna want to do that.
Yeah, he's so embarrassed that he just keeps on going, and it's so awkward because all the students are like, oh my god, did a gun just go off? Like, did he just shoot it off into the ceiling?
Arguably,
by accident. This is the instructor.
This always happens to me with any piece of technology I wanted to show my mom, my dad, Andrea, anybody. You've probably seen this with me where I have something in here that's working, that's really cool, and I'm like, get in here, see it. And then everybody comes in, and okay, what you're seeing now, and then I have to explain. I'm like, what you're seeing now is just the small delay that is, and that's what normally happens. You got to think fast, like talk yourself out of it.
It's like a magician, have the out.
Yeah.
I know.
You want me to bring up something really tragic and sad when it comes to that?
Please.
Have you guys seen the video where the little girl accidentally kills the gun instructor?
Oh my God! Why?
What's wrong with you?
So far we've talking open casket.
What's wrong with you? Why would you do that?
I asked if you want to bring it up, but
no, but you didn't give us enough time to answer.
Yeah, but I thought it was gonna be like kind
lighthearted.
of tragic, but in a funny way.
Did you hear about the kid?
No.
Toys for tots. He didn't get enough toys, but then Santa
like
saved
the
him.
gun
Never once
instructor
said.
shooting himself is tragic, but it's also funny.
No, I
because
wouldn't
he
call
didn't
that tragic.
find-
He didn't die.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
call
but
that
he shot it.
tragic.
Oh,
It was funny.
That girl is traumatized.
Yeah,
She's like, okay, long story short, she was like 5 years old, and the dad thought it'd be a good idea to take her to her gun range, but like with an automatic, not even just like a single, like whatever.
like
And
an AR-15.
I don't know guns, but the instructor is basically like, okay, you just want to gently squeeze it.
You
and then,
look like a guy who knows guns.
It rattles off like a couple, and then it's like, okay, now squeeze a little harder, it rattles off more, and then I guess she's 5 years old, she loses control and holds the trigger, and the gun flies around and ends up killing the dude.
Oh man,
Great job,
And
Kenny.
it's on video because the dad was recording.
Where can I
it.
find the video? Give me the URL. I'm gonna search that out.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah. Is there audio? I make that my new text to tone.
Well, in happier news, I was actually there when you guys did the teddy bear toss. I was doing some of the fancy LED boards and everything.
That's awesome, dude.
Anytime, which, by the way, I would love to get that Mo sound effect because I want to give it up there. So that way, because Mo sponsors
Clear
some
it with
stuff.
Mo first, though, because I'm gonna be giving you the dumb Mo sound effect, and then he's like, "That makes me look like a fool. I don't want that at the game."
I know he's
I think he's down for it.
Okay.
He's
he
all about the
sponsors
fun.
like a segment in the game, and I would love to like play that when that happens. But we caught you and Andrea doing I think the Mariah Carey "All I Want for Christmas"
we
cam,
were singing. We did
singing that.
Yeah, we were singing on the camera and
so
dancing.
You were bringing up the thing about why are they showing the Santa versus whatever. I'll tell you right now, 90% of the time we're in the control room, we just do it for our own entertainment. So when you see something really weird or it's like, why are they focusing on this person? It's because we find it funny or we, know the person or whatever. It has nothing to really do with entertaining the audience.
What I thought was weird is that
should you be mentioning that? I'm sure.
It's every sporting event.
I could see the security guards of our Kia Center. Right? Is that what I call it now? At the Kia Center. I could see that.
I'll never call it.
I read that on accident.
No.
It'll always be Amway to me.
Yeah.
Just like
Arena.
Twitter.
You'll always be Amway.
It's a TD Waterhouse.
I'll die with Twitter and Amway.
So the guy, one of the security guards was giving the Solar Bear Santa some business because you guys kept putting up this beautiful Santa Claus that looked like he was Santa Claus, right? There are guys that look so much like Santa Claus that are Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was one of those guys. And they kept putting him up there. And then the security guard for the Amway just kept nudging the Solar Bear Santa who was wearing the finest of spirit Halloween costumes and being like, hey, why don't you look as good as that? And giving him stick.
It was
awesome. I loved it.
Was it a bit that you guys were aware of?
No.
No,
because when we have the cameras out there, again, 9 times out of 10, we just spot something where it's just like, oh, that's interesting. Let's focus on that. And it's purely by happenstance.
Is there anything you guys have ever, I don't know if you can even talk about this, but are there things that you've cut to and then you're like, oh, got to cut off of that?
Yeah, basically, back in the day, the old Predators games when the girls would flash or whatever.
Would they really flash?
Oh, my God, yeah.
That was slightly before my time. I remember that the legendary Predator party to go to was they would do and you can't do this now apparently, but they would do a pimp and hoe party.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole
the late 90s.
The old arena before we tore it down would just be packed full of people. You'd have a bunch of guys with fedoras and fur coats and then a bunch of ladies in lingerie having a pimp and hoe party.
This is when arena football games were on Friday nights.
Yeah.
It was not catered to families.
It was nuts.
Yeah, it was literally meant to be a Friday night party before you went downtown to, Cairo or whatever. But then the Arena Football League as a whole started catering to families and kids, putting games on daytime Saturdays and so that it just kind of ruined that feel. But we've done that. Now, certain events are different. Like the Solar Bears, if we get a college kid and they take their beer and they chug it, that's totally fine. But at another event, for example, and they take it and they start chugging it, cut away.
Yeah,
because it's not like the feel or the whatever.
You took my question.
Depends what the event is.
It seems like Solar Bears does something that I really love. They let the kids do the chug too with their sodas. I love that. You got to start them early.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, there was a thing that happened a couple years ago. The fans started doing it called Popcorn Mania. Because it was one of those, for $10, you get all you can eat popcorn. You keep going, getting refills. And then someone, when they were on camera, they were drunk and they took the bucket of popcorn and just dumped it on their heads. Everyone's laughing. everyone started doing that because they realized you could just go to the concession stand, get a new bucket of popcorn,
waste food.
coming back down.
And destroy the arena by popcorn everywhere.
Yeah, it was bad. And it would get like everyone started chanting popcorn mania, clap, clap, clap. And they were doing that. So every time that there was a camera shot on a person, they would find a bucket of popcorn to dump on their heads.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
No, it was a lot of fun.
Did they outlaw popcorn mania? Or
because
let's bring it back.
Because
you can't control the mania.
It would sell so much popcorn because now everyone would get the $10 unlimited buckets.
Let's bring back popcorn mania.
You know, I only ever saw the camera cut away once at a Solar Bears game, and that's when Brennan was doing them. And I was like, I don't think you can do that here.
Allowed to do that.
But the cutaway made it funny.
It was. It did.
Yeah.
We do the kiss cam as well, and we try to get like the awkward ones. But then like if they do it, where the guy.
How do you know? How do you know you're not putting it on like a brother and sister?
Oh, you don't. You don't, and it happens because sometimes there are people that like point to it and they shake their heads
like,
no or whatever.
No, yeah.
We have a graphic.
I was waiting for them to put it on me and Tom one year. Like, if Kenny is there, he's gonna put it on me and Tom.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it too.
For a different reason. We have graphics too, where sometimes like we'll have like a
this
a
person's gay, outing them at the arena.
Oh my god.
Or it'll say like friend zoned, and then like a big stamp on like
if that actually
happened
and you put me, oh my god, I would cry. Oh my god, that would be terrible.
Now, I would like to see more fake engagements because that's what I like.
Yeah, but I like the ones where it's the mascot does an intricate dance with what used to be the Magic Dancers. Now it's like the Magic hype.
Oh yeah, it's like it's a dance
group.
Yeah,
it's a dance group, but I like it. And then the mascot stuff, he turns around and then he takes the head off. It is the boyfriend. Have you seen those?
Okay, yeah.
They do it with the Chicago Bulls mascot and different people where the mascot's doing like this crazy dance, pops the head off. It's been the boyfriend the whole time. I love that.
And you can tell. So a lot of the times when it's the engagements, you're right, it's fake or whatever. But every once in a while, you get the ones where she doesn't say no, but she also doesn't say yes, and she does that whole "Can we talk about this?"
A lot of pressure. I just met you.
Everyone in the arena knows what's happening because she's doing that whole okay, let's talk. Yeah, like nervous laughter.
So
God, don't do public.
So it does go wrong. I always thought every one of those was set up.
Again,
most of them, yeah.
Most of them are, but every once in a while you get that where it's just awkward. So, I was talking to you guys before we even went on Twitch that the Orlando Magic own the Solar Bears. They also own the Osceola Magic, the G League team, and they had a proposal there. And we knew about it, and we were doing the kiss cam, and we ended up doing it. The guy didn't get up out of his seat. He just was sitting next to her, and then just turns to her and holds it in his hand like he's just talking, like he's just showing her something on the phone, and that was the proposal. We just wasted that whole opportunity for him to sit there.
So he didn't really
lazy engagement. I like it.
Well, maybe he freaked out.
Yeah, he could have panicked.
It could have been. Well, speaking of panic,
You ever had anybody pee their pants?
So we had a game against Mexico City, and it was like Mexican Heritage Night. So we would play
makes sense.
The Mexico National Anthem and the U.S. National Anthem. So, they do the U.S. National Anthem. It's like, and now to perform the Mexico National Anthem, some 8-year-old girl.
And they booed her.
No, she stood there. Silence. Silence.
Went blank.
Here's the thing. If it was the U.S. National Anthem, we've seen it where the coaches or the crowd start singing.
Sure.
But it's the Mexican National Anthem. No one knows. No one knows the lyrics, so everyone just and it was awkward, and everyone just felt bad for the girl, so they started applauding to try to get her. Still didn't start singing. And then it just
What is the Mexican national anthem? Apparently we should know that, right?
The game.
I got a lot of joke answers.
You guys should have had that on retainer. You could have just played it in the background.
Seriously, I always thought you guys had every
Why
national.
doesn't the mom run out and save her child? She knows it.
Maybe she doesn't know it. Dude, do you know how many people that don't know that? Dude, I know Americans that don't know the national anthem.
Yeah, I'm telling you though that we were trying to scramble because we thought
you've heard your kid
during rehearsal. Yeah, and during rehearsal. She performed it. So, we thought that's why we didn't have it backed up because it's a once in a, season
that's
thing.
Bad planning.
So we don't have it.
As a producer myself, I got to say you dropped the ball on that one.
Well, yeah. Thankfully I wasn't producing
Did they just say, "Oh, thank you."
Gracias.
Hey, your inflection on that was really good because the announcers do go, "And thank you."
to be honest.
And that's Alicia Rodriguez.
The game had to start. You know what I mean? Right. You can't have it. So at when nothing happened, it's like, And now the visiting team, the starting lineup.
Isn't they just usher her off?
Yeah.
And she cries backstage because she's like, I blew
everyone
it.
felt
My
that. So what ended up happening was, in order to like make it up for her, it's like, and we have a special performance from Alicia Rodriguez. So after the game, she came on to.
Whoa, that was really her name? I just guessed that.
I was using her name, but like she actually performed it. But it's the end of the game, and it's a minor league game.
Still counts.
Yeah,
like thought that counts.
And did they lose? Because then you can't sing.
Oh yeah, they did lose.
Well,
That's what
you can't
Was it
sing
hockey?
it.
I feel like if it's Mexico City, they're gonna lose.
No, this was the basketball. But see, that's what's crazy. So on the one hand, you're like, wait, are we singing the Mexican national anthem because the Mexico City team won and we're just rubbing it in the face of all the Americans? But then everyone just left because at the same time they didn't expect a post-game performance.
Again, I blame that on you. You should have said, and everyone keep your seat for a post-game performance from Alicia Rodriguez.
Trust me, we tried, but everyone left. So she
try
ended up performing for like 10 people. And then even then, like,
and then it's her fault for blowing it at the beginning. So, you know, I'm just saying, what are they going to do? The show must go on.
They give you 2 chances.
As an entertainer, she's got to learn one day that
she'll never mess it up again.
You have to. Oh no, she'll never get another chance. That's the other thing you learn is
you'll never work on this town again.
Yeah,
you get one shot.
Yeah, the team
one opportunity.
Not going to let that happen again because I'm sure someone behind the scenes is like,
So
right, they're mad about
Can't count on that girl.
Yeah, everything is timing in sports, man. Like once that clock is going, it's going. Never
especially when it comes to timeout. So sometimes when you see those segments that happen, like let's say we try to do the kiss cam and it ends with a proposal, but it's taking too long, we have to hit the horn and go back to the action. Like we can't wait for the person to do the proposal. Like we gave you this time, that's it.
Well, speaking of proposal and what, like the ones where the fake ones where the girl storms out and leaves, and the person's all rejected.
I used to believe those,
and they were like, "Whoa, I saw it."
I used to believe those 100%.
And I was like, "Well, that's never. It doesn't even happen for real. Like you must know if you're asking someone to marry you, that whether they want to or not. It's not like how often is it a surprise? You know, I'm thinking of myself and most of what I've seen.
It shouldn't be.
But every once in a while, you get the Michael Scott that doesn't read the situation.
So I think I said this on BDM show, but a long enough time has passed that I'm saying on this show that I'll just say at a meeting one time with a client, and then we're just talking whatever, and then the client did what I get great enjoyment when the boss goes to their employee like, hey, tell them the story that's super embarrassing to entertain my other business
You're
friend.
my lackey. Sell yourself out for me.
I always get enjoyment out of when the boss forces the
I
employee.
have influence. I'm going to use that to make you uncomfortable right now for my new friend.
Yeah, I like that.
Sell yourself.
So we're talking, and the engagements come like that conversation or whatever, and then he's like, Jared has a story about, tell him about the time you asked what's her name to marry you in a hot air balloon. And then the person proceeded to tell me a story how he rented a hot air balloon, and for him and his girlfriend.
Okay.
And then they flew up over, I won't say the place.
Over the plate,
And then
beautiful area.
He asked her to marry him in the hot air balloon.
Okay.
It was him, the girl, and then the
pilot. Yeah.
I wouldn't call him much of a pilot. I'll call him a fire porter. What is he actually piloting?
He releases the gas.
Yeah,
He's the gas releaser.
The wind. Yeah, I've been in a hot air balloon. You can't actually control where it goes. You're just blowing the fire.
It's like controlling your dreams.
And then he asked the girlfriend to marry him, and she said no.
What? I at full altitude.
God, I need to hear the whole conversation.
Oh, it's one of my favorite stories that I don't know about because
I wanted to ask so much, but I could tell he was embarrassed.
Of course.
By bringing it up again in front of a stranger.
It's his most powerful memory.
Well, the boss found it hilarious.
The only thing
I know why he found it hilarious. I find it hilarious too. That's why I'm talking about it. But he was telling me this, and I was like, oh, and I was like, that must be rough.
Yeah.
But and then he's like, we. I think he, understood the fact that other people think.
How
it's funny
long did the descent take? Do you go the entire?
Oh, it takes a while because they can only land in a pre-planned fields.
Yeah,
like
you have to go the distance.
Yeah, you have to go the whole distance. It's not like we were like, all right, we're heading back to base.
Super quiet. You just hear the fire.
Unless there's an emergency, they'll just land in the regular spot.
And here's what I want.
So do you want to get Chinese tonight?
I want to talk to
Do they stay together?
No,
Oh,
it was
no.
done after that.
No.
He told me.
Yeah.
But
I want to know what they talked about on the way back, or did he
Then
talk
you
to
got to
the?
drive home.
I
Did
wanna
he
talk
talk to
to
the
the-
gas puller?
yeah, I want to
Silence.
talk to the fire puller about what it was like for him to, because he's in a tiny bastard.
I'm sure it's happened more than
Oh
once.
yeah. What if he's like,
No,
this is
I
my
don't-
4th time, man?
I don't think that's happening, because if you are,
If you specialize in that, maybe 2,
A lot of people get engaged on hot air balloons.
maybe 2
you think
over a lifetime. It's got to be rare.
It's the only one I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
In a
Only real one I've ever heard of. I mean, it sounds like a movie plot or something you'd see on The Office.
I've heard every once in a while of maybe someone bringing it up and the other person not be interested in it, and then it just, but never a big pomp and circumstance.
Not in the hot air balloon.
Hot air balloon or public display.
Yeah.
I've heard of this where it's a public thing and then the person says yes, but then
yes.
goes back
Yeah.
later, but they just said yes so that
They're
it
not
wouldn't be
embarrassed. Yeah.
insanely embarrassing
Yes.
to everybody involved.
I have heard the one that I've heard isn't even at a sporting event or on camera. The one that I've heard the most, and I think I've got maybe 2 of these, where it was asked in front of family party.
Yeah.
Said yes, then on drive home fell apart because she didn't want to sell him out at the thing, but didn't want to get married.
Right.
Right. See what I'm saying?
And that's what you should do.
And that is
Like,
what
it
you
just,
should do.
Because the family, they're like, hey, they're just eating, drinking.
They don't want that. Let them eat their turkey.
And
The
then
only
later on, you hear like, oh, they're not getting married. You're like, oh, bro, save some money on a present.
The only thing that would have made it worse is in there in the hot air balloon, and instead of him asking, it's like, look down, honey, and it's like all of her friends like doing the thing where they lay down and they spell
Marry
out,
me.
yeah, will you
Oh,
marry me? And then they're
God.
all in like a pose, and then they're waiting for when you land. They're like, yeah, applauding, and then she has to tell him.
I think you just. I think I jump out of the balloon. Right?
But don't the friends know? Like, one of the
Somebody
friends
knew.
were like, hey,
Somebody did.
Somebody
yeah.
knew and let it happen.
Yeah, and they're like, I'm laying down on A, no problem. Like, I'm not gonna mention it.
Do you owe that person, your friend, the honesty of, hey,
I
man?
think she's gonna say no.
Because you also might lose your friend. Like, if you and Crystal were together and I knew she didn't want to get married and you were all up in arms about, yeah, I'm going to ask her, dude, and then I'm going to do the balloon thing, and then I pull you aside and, hey, man,
Unless you
I don't
want
know if that's it. And then you're like, dude, what do you know about my relationship? F off. This is my personal
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
You don't know nothing.
Unless you
You're
wanted
not a
to get
good
with
friend. And then
Crystal.
I'm like, I'm sorry. And then I've ruined that friendship.
Listen, my whole life, I've often thought I knew what was going to happen, and I was usually right. But I just learned to keep my mouth shut, because if you could be wrong, then maybe you're altering the course of this person's life. Because what if I'm wrong about that, and the person would marry him, and then happily ever after?
Okay. Yeah.
But everybody knows, and
So
everybody.
you just be the guy that when she does say no, you'd be like, I knew it.
Yeah.
It's better to. I don't want to be involved in that.
I was
right?
testing you.
I knew it, bro.
Everybody knows a relationship that they've seen that they knew it wasn't going to last,
Yeah.
and it didn't last.
Yeah.
There's some that are lasting that I'm surprised. I'm
Yeah,
like, wow, I
got
can't
those
believe
too.
they're still
I got
together.
those.
then
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Like, so
holding on by a thread. I've got a couple of those.
I've seen that happen, and then it becomes like, how long can it
Yeah.
last?
Yeah,
Like,
then I'm
How
back
long
in
can
again.
it go?
But maybe I die in a second, and then it was like the whole
Yeah.
time, like they die, and they went through a whole life
Yeah.
married, and I was like, well, they got through it.
And then they appear on the MTV Music Awards, and then they make
said
out.
it never lasts. Yeah, I mentioned that last week. It's crazy.
That's why I
All
brought
right,
it
let's
up.
get out of here. Plug 2 Moofs, man.
Yeah, 2 Moofs. TOOMOOFS. Just had a show recently. Matt talked about his bloodhead.
Oh, yeah.
And
How'd that go? Does he look good? I haven't seen him.
So here's the thing: hair takes a while to grow. So while it's
Oh, you
there,
can't- okay.
it's not as if he like comes
Gotcha.
back and he's off the plane with like Fabio hair.
Right.
you know,
You do that
flying in the
weird
front.
move.
It's
You
not
do
a
that
press-
weird
yeah.
move where you have thousands of tiny bloods.
yeah,
blood
blood
dots.
dots.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
is horrible looking. You
But-
look like an old doll.
It does look good because you can see where they did it, and you're like, oh, when this grows in, it will look pretty
Yeah,
good. So
and it
he's
works
happy with it, yeah.
like I've seen people have done it. My buddy Andy, we've talked about
You
it on the
can't
show.
tell. It's
And-
amazing.
yeah, like years later, you're like, whoa, like this
Yeah,
is.
I think it looks better after it gets some. Yeah, it's like boob job.
Yeah.
You gotta get a couple years on
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
And
With the
sit.
gross-
Just to give you a comparison, he was like, here in the States, it's about 25,000, but the flight and the procedure and everything over there was only like 10. So like the fact that
Wow.
you're saving that much
More
money,
than half. That's crazy.
like that's the reason that he was willing to do it. Because if it was only a couple thousand, okay, just stay here.
Right.
Who cares? But
I know a guy who'd do it for 14.
Oh my god.
I mean, yeah.
we actually do. Yeah, 100% we do. Yeah, that's true.
Uh,
All right, let's get out of here, guys. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it, and
we'll see you tomorrow.
bye. All right. Woohoo. We did it. Is that our
Wednesday 3 and 4. I just need a
It's the last-
intro.
recording?
Yes.
On Twitch, yeah. Then
Yeah.
we
We
gotta.
do the other stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Wednesday, 12:20, right?
Yes. 12:20.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yep.
More workshop.